Ladies and gentlemen, to kick off this year's conference, please put your hands together for the man who runs the show, Manav Thadani, founder chairman, Hotelivate.
You sex a thing, I believe in miracles. Since you came along, you sex a thing.
I wasn't going to fall for that. So those of you who expect me to dance, it's not going to happen. But, a couple of things happened. Last year, I kind of performed for everyone, and we've had 100 more people show up, and I can't afford because we don't have big hotels. So no dancing this year. And plus, the rat, as you saw, is dead, right? So we don't have a rat, or maybe it's gone across the Atlantic to a bigger house. So we don't know. Good morning, everyone. Great to have you out here. 2024-25 has been an amazing year, right? We've had record growth, and it's strange for me to say that it's happened 2 years back to back. It doesn't happen, right? Literally, I'm pretty sure that the results that will come out this quarter would be amongst the best quarters that the hotel industry has ever seen. But before I go on, I really want to start by thanking Hyatt for those of you who were there for the owners workshop and the evening owners dinner. They put on an amazing show. F&B, just the whole atmosphere. There was dancing, and it was just quite an So, as I said, record years, I think record number of hotel signings the next 2 days. I mean, if you've been reading the press, there have already been some announcements. There are a lot more announcements coming later today. So I think it's been a great year. And India is somewhat insulated because we've got business travel, which is still up. You've got IPL and sports activities, which are keeping the markets busy. You've got the big fat Indian weddings that just don't go away, and that kind of helps support us in different months. But I think it's also time to take caution, right? There's a lot of things happening globally, and there's going to be a lot of headwind. And I think it's time that we really focus. It's going to be a bumpy ride ahead, and I think we should be really cautious because this story of record breaking, the rates going up every quarter, it's just not sustainable. So I think we need to tighten our belts. I think it's going to be challenging, and we need to be kind of somewhat prepared for that. But I'm not going to talk about that because our border control this year allowed Jesper from STR to make it. Last year he didn't get his visa, but he's here today. So I'll let him talk about the numbers rather than my talking here. And Jesper, welcome that you made it this year. I think I just want to also talk about some of our experiences. I know Trisha kind of introduced it. We have realized that conferencing needs to be a little bit more than just coming, talking, meeting, right? So we've got, by the way, we've got a business class ticket to Australia. By contrast, we've got the spiritual experience this evening. It's a dinner hosted by Chalet Hotels, a breakfast club tomorrow morning. roasted and toasted. So that's tomorrow evening's entertainment. And then, of course, we have the Fairmont dinner and after hours that we have got. My focus is, before I go on, I also want to thank all our sponsors. Without you guys, this would not be possible. So I think it's important to have, and please do vote. Lots of hotels, we had 60 plus, 70 plus hotels that opened last year. So don't forget to vote. That's all I would say. Who's here in the room, right? That number is scary. Never our intention. Target was 700. We got to this number. While I'm grateful, again, like I said, we have a challenge with space in the way we do the format. So either we reimagine the conference or we don't let people in. And we've kind of turned away more than 50 people this time. Who's here? 8119 from female and male. I wish that number would change. By the way, I went back and looked at the 2005 data till now. That number has unfortunately always stayed between 18 and 21. There was only 1 year that we had 26 or 27% reach. So which is unfortunate that we don't have enough representation from that at the leadership level or maybe even the ownership level. What else do we have? 16 countries, 76 people, a really large number of people all of you are from India itself. Gives you a good idea from where people are coming in. So this was the most interesting table. Last night at the owners meet, we had 170 people in the owners room. That included my team, it included a few architects and design, but we've never had such a high number of owner participation. And that wasn't all the owners. There were another 30, 40 that were invited that didn't show up. So if you just look at that, 21% of people here are from an owning company. And if you add the developer real estate category to that, that's 25% of the audience. And to me, those guys are the most important people who come because of them, you guys are here. Very interesting, two other things. A lot more lawyers in the room. And that's never happened. We've created a category for them. So clearly, either something's about to happen, but that was interesting. And a lot more government. We've never had this kind of government out here. Look, we have Gujarat government out here, but I have people from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and we've turned away a few of these government guys because they all wake up at the last minute and we were closed. But it's interesting. These are state governments that are coming to this conference to kind of attract you guys to them. So I'm going to just quickly talk about the growth story, right? I want to talk about where we were when we started the conference 2005 and where are we today, right? We've gone from an 800 billion to a 4 trillion economy. We've become more we have a lot more political stability. We have a much more digital economy that is happening, right? Look at the digital revolution. When we started back then, we had only 50 million internet users. Today, we have we have pretty much the world's largest internet users. We've gone from 2G to 5G. So I think there's a lot of change that has taken place in the last year. Look at the hotels in 2005 when we were tracking. We were tracking through our Trends and Opry report, 235 hotels. Today, we have close to 1,900 hotels and nearly 200,000 rooms. One disappointment, look at the occupancy. It's not changed. 69.4 versus what we're predicting for 69, So that is the unfortunate part. Yes, the rate has doubled, but it's taken 20 years to double. It's below inflation. So while the rates have really corrected in the last 2 years, they were really long overdue. But how much more, we don't know. Aircraft movements, and I think today there are a few other speakers who are coming later today who will talk a lot more about this. There's some interesting announcements that are coming in the aviation space. I think you'll hear a lot more about that. But this has grown much faster, bigger. Look at the number of planes that have been ordered as well, right? So it's a great thing. So let's not look at 20 years ago because that may not be relevant. Maybe it's more sentimental for us as organizers, right? Let's look at what's happened in the last 5 years, right? Let's look at what happened in 2019 and where are we today? Because I think that's a little bit more relevant. So we've gone, occupancies have changed, rates have really shown compared to what we were showing a 20-year gap. Most of that increase has happened more in the recent times. Look, we've gone from a $150 billion economy to a $410 billion economy. That's showing the pace of growth. We've become the 6th largest global spender when it comes to travel, and we've now become the 4th in the last 5 years. So that's where the power of India, the power of Indian travelers traveling from here overseas is happening. Again, trips by Indian in 2019, look, it's doubled in 5 years. So and that's going overseas. When you look at how the domestic tourism, and in some ways, I think today, while the government has done a really poor job of promoting the international tourism to come in, what has benefited us is that domestic tourism is really grown in India. So when we have global issues, we're able to sustain our hotels a lot better. And this is what I was talking about. Now look at the number of aircrafts that we have. Look, this is something interesting. I just thought, look at the booking window, right? Or the travel planning window is so short in India. And we're seeing that. So this was something I thought interesting compared to how, that's the young India, disposable income there and so forth. They can just decide to travel on the drop of their hat. Okay, I'm trying to see. There we go. I just wanted to show, again, slightly sentimental, where were we, some of our sponsors in 2005, and look where we are, right? Some of the brands have stayed. Accor lost a few birds along the way. They only have one bird left. But, you know, it's just, I just thought it was a good comparison. Some of these brands disappeared over a period of time, right? So interesting to note that. And I also wanted to acknowledge our lifetime achievement winners from the past, right? Oops, sorry, did I go too fast? Sorry if I can bring that back. You know, these are truly our legends, and it's just, we happen to have one of them right here in front, Mr. KB Katru. So truly an honor to have these people. And like I said, they don't make too many of them anymore. It's tough to find, but we try to do this every 2 to 3 years. Look, I've spoken about the past, present. I'm going to take my hand and think of what I think the future looks like, maybe 20 years from now. These are just some random thoughts. Some of them are interesting. I put out a lot of different things out there, right? Will we have a trip to the moon in 20 years? Most certainly. Would you have space tourism? We're already beginning to see parts of it, right? Will we see our first $1,000 ADR hotel in India? Yes, that will happen in the next 24 months or 12 months, if I may say. Space tourism, more women in hospitality. That's my wish list, actually. I'm not predicting that. Bullet train in India, it's happening. It's under construction. It will happen, right? Death of F&B in hotels. I'm seeing that. You don't have to be smart to predict that. But I'm going to pick 5 of them. And by the way, before I do that, some things will not change. Egos of hoteliers will not change, right? including mine. And by the way, that's a caveat. I have to say that because otherwise I'll be in trouble. Because I have to deal with it every year. My top 5, right? Interesting stuff. And I'll tell you why interesting stuff, because when I put this up, you're going to hear a little bit about some of these points today. Believe it or not, it wasn't planned. So my first one is flying taxis, right? Space tourism. That's a wish. Barun is here. He's going to talk about pollution, right? I think we may solve the pollution problem. It's happened. Beijing was horrible. Shanghai was horrible. They've got their act together. One hopes that India will get its act together and will solve for that. And then hotels run by robots. So let's just talk about a few of these, right? This is going to happen. And it's going to happen in India. Look, all of you have struggled to come here today. Imagine if you had this available. Imagine if you could use the taxis to go to a destination which was maybe 100 kilometers away, and you could get there in maybe 20 minutes rather than 4 or 5 hours. So this is something that I think is going to happen. It's going to be the next big thing, and who knows? You'll hear something more about that. Space tourism, right? It's happening. Whether you like him or not, Elon Musk is going to do it. You've got the Virgin Atlantic guy who's going after that. Pollution control. Like I said, this is a little bit of a wishful thinking, but I think this is also our biggest challenge, right? We can do whatever we want, but if we don't solve for the pollution issue, we're in trouble. As a tourism economy, as people wanting to move out, this is a big problem and we have to solve for it. And I think at some stage there'll be enough pressure on the government to fix this. Robots, right? We're seeing that happen, right? We're seeing robots come in. I think maybe they're not in the humanoid form, but AI is taking over. I got a WhatsApp this message from my son. He said, Dad, everything is motion controlled in the room. Even when I move my toe, the lights come on because the night light comes on. So it's a problem. It's interesting. Don't be surprised that we'll have Meet Pepper, who does something at the Mandarin Oriental in Las Vegas. Or today you have Connie, who is the concierge at the Hilton. And these are things that are happening, right? Or Relay, who's doing something else, right? I've checked into a hotel in Singapore, a Yotel hotel, that delivers your towels and toothbrushes and anything in a robot. It comes to your room, knocks on the door, you open it and you collect it. So it's happening. I've seen that happen. And I think this is going to grow. It might also solve for the challenge of human capital that we have. Right? I think this is another one which I think will happen, the silver economy. And I think hotel brands and owners are not paying enough attention. Look, this group of people, you're all going to be part of the silver economy, not to. What do I mean? Retirement homes, focus services. This is not happening in India. And I think this is a trend that some of you should catch on to. I've been trying to convince the brands to also use that. Senior living, medical wellness tourism, and so forth. I think cruise tourism will also grow along with that. While many things will change, one thing is for sure. I will not be doing this in the next 40 years, right? I won't be there for the 40th edition of HICSA. So I just wanted to kind of, there we go. Before I go off the stage, my pet personal project, I have a few restaurants, very proud that last few weeks ago, we made it to the Asia's top 50 extended list. I do have a second one that is which is open, which is in the same location. And by the way, people do ask me, do you make money? The answer is yes, we do. It's challenging, but we do. And then I've got 2 more opening. This one opens in Bombay, Sobo 20, in South Bombay at the Marine Drive Intercontinental. It's a Franco-American. And Kome is the Japanese that also opens this year. So 2 restaurants coming up in Bombay. I can't announce what we're doing, but we're going to do one more in Gurgaon. So just wanted to kind of share that. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you over the next 2 days.